Hello everyone, I'm the Banished Prince. I'm sorry for not having any vlogs out recently because I've been busy. But I'm trying to stay focused now and trying to make more time for these vlogs. So hopefully I'll keep on to that. I really enjoy doing this. I know I haven't done it too much yet, but I really love this idea, so I hope I can do more. Okay, so I just watched the second episode of Avatar, Avatar Returns, and there's not too much really to talk about. There's more, I mean, it's the second episode, but still, there's some things that I wanted to mention. Um, One thing that I really liked in the beginning of the episode, how it starts is it has a shot of the um, the booby trap that Aang Katara accidentally set off, and then it shows them walking back to the tribe. And then, of course, the kids are happy to see them, but all the adults and Sokka um, are disappointed, and because they signaling the Fire Nation. Um, what I liked was after Sokka banishes Aang, and then Aang is about to leave. I love the symbol. I'm not sure if this is 100% correct, but I feel like this is symbolism here where a little girl runs up to him right next to Katara and says, Aang, don't go, I'll miss you. And then Aang says, I'll miss you too. Um, and then Katara and Aang just look at each other, and then Aang leaves. I like how, at least I'm not sure, I may be wrong with this, but if I am right, I think it's cool how it's like the little girl is a reflection of Katara. It's showing she's trying to be strong right now. Probably wants to say that, oh, I'm gonna miss you, but she can't. She doesn't want him to leave, but she can't do anything about it. And then the little girl is almost like her inside thoughts, her desires of wanting him to stay. And I always thought that was really cool because even the girl has, I know this is a one tribe thing anyway, but the girl has like, small hair loopies, like, you know, they're more like, they're not actually looping in the back, but you can tell they're like miniature hair loopies, kind of resembling Katara. And I just always like that. Something else. Oh, I I always liked Sokka's war paint. When he was putting the war paint on, it's like he went from the silly Sokka that makes the jokes to more serious, and I really like that. But then what also is cool is that when he's on the wall, I guess, um, it gives you a little glimpse of that to let you know it's still Sokka, because when the ship comes in, um, of course, his watchtower gets destroyed, and he's like, oh man, kind of showing the actual Sokka is still in there, but he's just being serious right now. Um, and I just like how they show him serious, but then they show it's still Sokka. It's not like all of a sudden he's gonna be a serious character from now on. No, it's still Sokka. Um, so I really liked that, and after that was really cool. In this episode, even though it's like the first episode was really silly, and now they're really starting to get down to business because they have the Fire Nation coming to the doorstep, and they add like the perfect moments, like when the Fire Nation finally the ship came in, and they had this silence, and they had it for like a long time for just sitting there. You're like anticipation, waiting for what's gonna happen. Even when the door opens, it takes a little while for them to actually for someone to actually come out. And when it's so silent, you can hear the steam of the door opening and Katara breathing deeply, taking in a deep breath, and it's just really intense. It starts showing that this is serious. Um, I like that because after the first episode being so silly, it's like this. It shows that it's more than just a kids show. Um, and in the beginning, also, or when after this, I gotta give props to Sokka because he he is not a bender, and um, fighting a firebender who's trained a lot, um, he puts up a pretty good fight in the beginning. I really like that. Like, of course, there's a few silly moments like when he uses the spear and then Zuko just breaks it, snaps it in half, hits him in the head, and then throws him down. Um, but up at every point, and then of course, the boomerang hits Zuko. So again, props to Sokka and his trusty boomerang. But before that, he actually came up a pretty good fight for a non-bender. It was pretty cool. So props to Sokka. Um, and I kind of started thinking, I'm like, okay, Zuko's whole point is to find the Avatar. He says, he's trying to find the Avatar, and he goes up to Grand and is like, someone about this age, and master of all four elements. When Zuko was fighting Sokka, like, or even when he was fighting Aang, he didn't look like he could handle fighting a full blown Avatar. No offense to Zuko. Zuko obviously is my favorite character, but sorry about the lighting. But I can't see from the avatars that you see throughout the show. I cannot see Zuko even getting close to beating any of the avatars. And I'm just thinking, I'm like, it almost makes sense, because again, his father banished him and forced him to go on this journey that was supposed to be impossible anyway, and it makes even more sense that Zhao would say that you won't be able to beat the Avatar. And at the time, he'd be able to beat Aang maybe. It's debatable, but a full blown Avatar, I don't see Zuko doing that. So that was just something I really thought of. I'm like, Zuko was getting ready to fight a full blown Avatar, and he wasn't even the taxi was. I don't know. That's just something that I thought of, and it's kind of bugging me, but makes sense. I mean, it works as Aang wasn't a full blown Avatar. Otherwise, the plot would have been a heck of a lot different. So that's just something I noticed. Also, continuing on to the fighting. Once Aang finally gets captured, I love because this episode really is a lot more serious than the first episode. They have better serious moments. They have good fighting, good bending, good like serious speeches and stuff, or at least lines. And I love the airbending in this. It's like you don't really see too much airbending. I think this is probably one of the most unique examples of airbending in the series when I really think about it. Any other time, there's always unique ways of airbending that they've shown in the show. But in this episode, I feel like because he was already had his hands tied, and so he had to be limited with maybe his feet and breathing, like blowing wind, and he is able to escape the two guards, then run in like a spiral through the hallway to avoid like five guards or so, and then as like a huge thing of fire is blasted from this other firebender in the hallway, he's able to jump airbend over and perfectly at the right angle being an airbender, having the right angle, and cutting himself loose using the guard's helmet, the tip of the guard's helmet, and it's I love this all the uniqueness of this airbending here. Um, so I just really like the they start showing more uniqueness in the bending style. And then Zuko or Aang finally finds his staff, but gets trapped by Zuko. And that fight in there is really cool because it's almost more realistic because they're in tight quarters. Like that was a pretty small space to be fighting. Um, so that I think that was a really cool fight. With Aang using the advantage of going all the way, or like riding against the walls and everything on the air scooter. Um, and it's almost Aang is like I mean this is they made this I like how Aang is perfect for Zuko in the fighting sense because if it was anyone else, maybe Zuko might have won. I mean, if it wasn't an Airbender, because Airbenders their tactic is to avoid and evade, and Zuko fights with his anger, and that's why Zuko never wins in any of the fights. But he still is strong, so that's why he never loses. Um, and I think that's Aang is just the perfect fighter for or partner. I don't know the word um, for Zuko, and it helps him learn more. Um, and with going back to the seriousness, in some of the facial expressions that they show after Aang finally when he gets in that small room with Zuko, when he's cornered against the wall, he like stops and you see him like breathing heavily. When you think about this, when you're looking at it as a show, you're just like, okay, he's obviously not gonna die, but in that world, he could have died because again, it's a small room, and Zuko has shown his power already, and he was cornered. So he was like, he could have died. So you have to realize this all in the beginning, or in any of a lot of the series. A lot of the time, these characters, they don't say it, but they could have died in many moments, and it's cool. Seeing their seriousness or their fear of that, like because I mean some shows, or even some superhero shows, don't really show their fear of death. When, I mean, especially in teenage heroes, it's like what they do every day. They should be fearing death every day. I mean, not so much. I want them to worry about it, but it's something that they should show and show them be getting over. Sometimes they do that, sometimes they don't. But I like how this show shows through the facial expressions. Also, something like not gonna really mention talk about it, but there was a part in Legend of Korra that someone was I'm not gonna say who, but someone was basically about to die, and you can just see the look on their face that they just lost hope. So I like how the show really does really good on showing that. Um, and then something else that's gonna develop throughout the episodes, but in this episode they show really well the state of Katara's bending ability. How she's really new at it. She as they explain in the waterbending scroll episode, she's only taught herself bending. She hasn't actually learned any official moves or anything. And in this episode, they show it really well. When they're about to leave, when they're on Zuko's ship, there's after Aang goes into the Avatar state, which is epic. He faints, but then there's guards going towards Katara, and Katara bends the water, freezes Sokka's feet on accident, and then realizes that if she turns around, maybe she can do the same thing, and succeeds. So it shows that she can even bend ice, which or freeze things at least, which is I guess sort of it would be an advanced move. And she was able to do that, but it was still like she had to figure out a different way of doing it because she hasn't learned any official waterbending moves. Um, and I thought that was really cool. I really like that. Um, okay, something that really bugged me. I usually notice this a lot, and then I just noticed it again when I was watching it. Is that in the end of the episode they show Aang they're all in Appa leaving or trying to fly away, and Zuko and Iroh are about to shoot at them. Aang goes to the up to Appa's tail and takes his staff, and the very tip of it spreads out, and he uses like a bat and basically pushes the fireball to the wall, and the avalanche comes down. But what kind of aggravates me, I just noticed, they never show Aang do something like that ever again, where he just uses the very tip of his staff, like to do anything, push air and away like he did then. And it's almost not really disappointing. It would be nice if he did that again, because it's a unique way of using his staff. He does the gliding, but he also uses it as a staff. But then it'd be also cool if he actually did, like he did then, just using the tip of it. You know. Aside from that, there's one more thing that again always bugged me. And at the very end of the episode, I'm sure some of you guys are with me. Um, just out of curiosity, but at the very end, they are on Appa flying, talking about what they're gonna do next, and Aang's like, okay, these are we're gonna go to the Northern Hawaiian tribe, but first we have to go to these places, here, 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 and here. And Char's like, what are there? And he's like, here is where the hopping llamas are, and way over here are the koi fish, or the backs of koi fish. And way over here are the hog monkeys. And I'm just like, okay, I wanted to now. Every time I see the episode, I'm like, the only place we go to are where the koi fish are, which is Kyoshi Island, which is the 4th episode. But I want to know. I want to see those other places. I'm curious as to how those episodes would have turned out. Who what would have happened, and also going to Kangaroo Island and Whale Tail Island, because you also hear about Whale Tail Island, and that's near Kyoshi Island, I'm pretty sure. But I just it would be interesting, but it's not necessary. It's just one of those things that I've noticed, and I'm like, that'd be kind of curious to see what would have been there, been at those islands. But anyway, aside from that, it was a good episode. It was nice having a step up from the first one a little bit. Still the same cheesy humor, but they had more bending, more fighting, more serious moments, which was good, and it was a good. I always thought of these episodes as two-parters because even though it's not, they don't say part one, part two. I don't think, but they really are, because the first one doesn't ends on a note that isn't it isn't continuing on to the rest of the series. The second episode is where it ends, and you have this whole journey ahead of you. So I've always felt like, and then they're both in the water tribe, so I feel like it might as well just be one whole long episode. And I don't recall this, but I'm sure they were both showed at the same time when the show was first aired. Aside from that, good episode. So everyone, just continue or try to comment on these vlogs if you can't. If you want, comment on the latest one that is up and give your opinion of the next episode, so I can maybe talk about something that you would want to talk about in that episode. Um, Also, just like these videos and subscribe. So thank you. I am the Banished Prince.